So the Pandavas, Bhima particularly, did that to the bull. And the bull rose, Shiva had to rise up. When he rose up, his forehead came up in Pashupatinath. Pashupatinath temple. In certain traditions, is considered the temple on the planet. This temple is of thousands of years antiquity. The linga that the temple houses is pre-Vedic in its making. Pre-Vedic means Vedic period is something like 5 to 8,000 years ago. In that range, those 3,000 years are called the Vedic period. This is pre-Vedic. The temple itself has come down many times and been rebuilt any number of times, but the linga is pre-Vedic in its antiquity. So Pashupatinath is seen as the forehead of Shiva. So Pashupatinath is very, very significant in many ways. It is a huge stepping stone in this system. There are still certain certain traditions which are actively making use of this process. One tradition which is making use of this very actively, and you can still see them if you go to Pashupatinath, is the Nathi community. Have you heard of Nathis, Gorakhnathis? People who come from North India must have heard of Gorakhnathis. It's fallen on bad times and taken on all kinds of meanings, but these Gorakhnathis are the tradition that came out of Gorakhnath, the disciple of Matsyendranath. Matsyendranath is seen as the reincarnation of Shiva himself, and Gorakhnath created the tradition and he established one of the largest yogic cults in this part of the world at that time, and it still lives, probably having the largest number of mendicants and sadhus compared to any other system. So that system still makes use of this southern body, and they travel up and they have ashrams all along these 5 chakras established, which is the Shiva's body in the form of a bull. They still follow that. And you will see them, a few of them in the Pashupatinath temple. If you see anybody with a large ring on his left ear, a large ring, usually a bone ring, that means he's a Gorakhnathi, he belongs to the Nathi community or the Nathi system. They have an ashram. If you climb up further, there is a ashram of the Nathis where there are at least 100, 200, 108, more than that I think, whatever. There are a large number of samadhis of Nathis who attained. Only those who attained got proper stone samadhis, others were buried under the trees. So you will see a large number of that, showing the richness of that system that so many people attained. So many people attained through their system, so there are so many samadhis which you can visit, which is in a dilapidated condition today but still there. So, Pashupatinath means… Pashupati means… Pashu means life, Pati means the Lord of all life. A human being in the yogic system, and of course in modern natural sciences and biology, is seen as atop the animal kingdom. So you are the culmination of the evolutionary process. This does not mean that all the aspects of all that this evolutionary process has gone through is absent in you. Because the human DNA shows only 1.23% variation from that of a chimpanzee, but that's made such a big difference. So, in the evolutionary scale, human being is the culmination of animal kingdom. And hence, in India, tradition talks about reincarnations of divine, starting from the fish, which is a life within the water, and then walking out, amphibious, which is Kurma Avtara, that is the turtle which walked out, then Varaha Avtara, the pig or the boar, and half man, half animal, then a pygmy-like man, a diminutive man, then a straight man, then various levels of men, various human forms of higher and higher intelligence and bigger possibilities. These 9 incarnations of the divine are just theory of evolution for you. So in this context, we are talking about human being a Pashupata, that means one who is atop the heap of life forms. So being on top or being the culmination of all these life forms means you have the inquisitiveness of a monkey, venomousness of a snake, lust of a boar, everything. You have all these things. All these things are playing in the human qualities, isn't it? Tell me one creature that you're not. All the creatures are playing through you. And hence all this spiritual process, this talk about making a human being conscious, because this whole effort, nature's effort of evolving you from a single-celled creature to such a complex mechanism will go waste if you don't become conscious, because they'll keep playing up. So Shiva rose above this. From being a Pashupata, he became a Pashupati. He became the Lord. That means he mastered the animal nature completely within himself. He became free from animal nature and sat here as a yogi, untouched by all the dimensions which existed within him. He became beyond that. So this Pashupatinath temple is significant because this is the space of transcendence. From here, he moved to Kalpanath. Kalpa means creation. Even if you were born after full gestation period, still one part of the body was unformed. Do you know which one? Top of the head. This was still unformed because that is the entry point for the life process into the physical mass of flesh that your parents offered for the life. You don't create life, you only create a receptacle for life. You create a bowl, you create a chalice, but life has to enter. So that point was unformed because that is the entry point and there are various aspects to that, we will not go into it now. So this is the kalpa, this is where life began. Life entered the physical body, so that is the kalpanath. And beyond that is the muktinath. In the human body, there are 114 chakras, 112 are in the physical realm, the 2 are above. So the 113th one is referred to as the muktinath because that is the point of liberation, and 114th one is called as Kailash, that is the abode of Shiva himself. When you visit Pashupatinath, I want you to understand this is a place that's been not just revered, been experienced and used by people as a stepping stone for their ultimate nature, towards their ultimate nature. For thousands and thousands of years, we do not know how many thousands of years. But the linga is pre-Vedic in its antiquity. So at least minimum 8,000 years. It's much more than that. So the story and the legend behind this is like this. The Pandavas, you heard of those five? These 5 brothers, for those of you who do not come from the Indian background, the ancient war of Kurukshetra happened because the fight happened between these 5 brothers and 100 cousin brothers on the other side. They fought, and it is at this battlefield that Krishna gave the teaching which became the Gita. These Pandavas won the battle. So if you have to win the battle, of course, you have to slaughter so many people, which they did. And the slaughter did not include some strange enemies, it included their own brothers, their close friends, their relatives, their grandfather, their guru. Everybody who mattered to them in their life they slaughtered because they had to win the war. And now they were struggling with what is called as Gotravada. Gotravada means they killed their own clan. Their hands were smeared with the blood of their guru, their grandfather, their brothers, their uncles, all kinds, even children. So they wanted to be free of this karma, and they knew nobody else could do it for them. Shiva is the only one who can absolve them of this sin. After their tenure as kings was over and they were old and they handed over the kingdom to their children, and there was no fulfillment. So these 5 guys went after Shiva, they want a quick fix. And Shiva didn't want to give them such a easy run. He wanted them to soak in their soup for some time, so that they don't commit such acts again. If people realize you can do whatever you want and you can go to Shiva and become free and you can restart all over again, Shiva did not want to give in to them, so he knew Himalayan terrain so well, so he went on dodging them, dodging them, dodging them. But these are doubted people, these are not the giving up kind brothers, otherwise they would have given up long ago, you know. They went after him, went after him, went after him. So Shiva had enough of this hide-and-seek business, so he thought he will get into disguise. So he transformed himself into the form of a bull. So he thought they will miss him. But these guys espied that also, and they went after the bull. So the bull ran here, there, but they ran after that. So Shiva, not knowing what to do with these guys, he ran into the ground. When he ran into the ground, the Pandavas, the story goes about to say, that they caught the tail of the bull. Bhima went and caught the tail first, and all the others caught. And even today, if you do not know this, if a bull or an ox refuses to get up, traditionally, the farmers and the cart drivers know this, that if they hold the tail and just do this, the bull will stand up. So the Pandavas, Bhima particularly, did that to the bull. And the bull rose, Shiva had to rise up. When he rose up, his forehead came up in Pashupatinath, his hump came up in Kedar, his horns came up in Tunganath, and his navel came up in Madhya Maheshwar. That's the story. Why such a story is to emotionally link people to the process. It is a scientific process. But unless people are emotionally connected to something, they cannot keep their mind focused upon that. That's true with you even today, isn't it? There are very few human beings who can keep their mind focused upon something which does not emotionally mean anything to them. There are very few human beings with that kind of mental capability. All others need to become passionate about it, otherwise they can't keep their mind on anything for 2 minutes. So the story is mainly to get you emotionally charged. Oh, it's Shiva who went in and these guys torturing him, so he came up. So there's a strong feeling about it. Once there's a strong feeling, wanting to go there, wanting to be there in a certain way, wanting to make use of it is naturally there in a human being. So this is a complete understanding of a human being, how a human being functions, and accordingly a process. Pashupatinath, the linga there, has 4 faces. It's facing… the one face that you will see from the front side is the east face. This is called as Tat Purusha, that means the highest kind of being. The western face is called Sadyojatha. The northern face is called as Vamadeva. The southern face is called Aghora. So one is the highest kind of being, another is a giver of joy, another is a master of occult sciences, another is Aghori. That means he is beyond the terrible, that the terrible does not touch him. There is nothing that is repulsive for him. He is an all-embracing kind, not in compassion, as you would like to think. Because I want you to understand that spiritual process in this part of the world never taught you about being loving, being compassionate, being kind. This kind of stuff, they did not even consider it as spiritual. So they thought it was not necessary to teach such things. So Aghori is in an embrace with the existence, not in any kind of emotion, simply because he wants to be like life. Because life is naturally all-embracing. He treats food and his excrement the same way. He treats the dead and the alive the same way. He treats a well-preserved body and a rotting body the same way. Not because he's in love, simply because he wants to become absolute life. He does not want to be trapped in his own psychological process. So that's the southern face. The South Indians, I'm looking at you, right? Shiva looked south with that kind of face, an all-embracing face, not in love, not in compassion, just life. And that quality seeped in to every aspect of south. When I say south, anything south of Himalayas is south, not Chennai alone, okay?
The Pashupatinath temple is located on the western bank of the Bagmati river. The temple is listed in UNESCO World Heritage Sites list. The temple complex has a certain arrangement of shrines and statues. In the southern side, there is a labyrinth of 64 lingas. The different deities face different directions. Bhairav faces south, Ganesh faces east, Narayan west, and the Navdurgas north. Apart from the four faces of the Pashupatinath linga, there is a fifth unseen face of the linga called Ishana, representing the element ether or Akash. The priests who perform the daily rituals in the temple are Brahmins from the Karnataka and Kerala regions in the South India. During the Mahashivratri festival, thousands of people arrive by night, take a dip in the cold waters of the Bagmati river and have darshan of Pashupatinath. On the opposite bank of the river are several shrines and courtyards, which offer accommodation to pilgrims during the major festivals. The Bagmati originates at the Bhagdwar, above the southern edge of the Shivpuri hills, about 15 kilometers northeast of Kathmandu. The river flows through many places in Nepal, including Swambhunath Stupa, Kathmandu Darbar Square, and the Dakshin Kali Temple. Bagmati River is known for its cremation spots, including the Ara Ghat, the most widely used cremation spot in Nepal. The Nepali Hindu tradition says that the dead body must be dipped into Bagmati river 3 times before cremation.